Welcome to Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth, the podcast where we explore the beautiful, messy and transformative magic that happens when we dare to go within. I'm your host, Robin Harris, and in each episode we'll dive into real, honest stories from people who've faced their fears, embraced their vulnerabilities, and discovered unexpected growth in their personal lives, careers, or businesses. This is a space for deep listening, open hearts, and soul-nourishing conversations. Because when we meet ourselves in our rawest moments, that's often where our greatest wisdom starts. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode of Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth. And today I have a real treat for you because with me today I have Jenny Elinora. And if I start by an introduction, but first of all, just to say that we connected through a mutual love of fun and play and joy. So we've got a real treat, as I said, in store today. And Jenny is a creative transformation coach, vibrational healer, and award-winning musician, dedicated to helping women in midlife and beyond rediscover their voices and live their creative dreams. With decades of performance experience and a deep understanding of how trauma impacts on our creativity, Jenny's mission is to inspire women to reclaim their self-expression and step boldly into their creative power. Jenny's work is rooted in the belief that it's never too late to learn to embrace your creativity, whether you dream of singing, writing, activism, entrepreneurship, or any other form of creative expression. Jenny provides tons of guidance, tools, and encouragement to help you reconnect with your authentic self and share your brilliance with the world. Isn't that just going to be amazing? So, Jenny, before we start into our conversation proper, I ask all of my guests 3 questions just to help people focus in. And the first of those is, what makes your story relatable for others?
Yeah. As a woman in current dominant culture, I'm going to get right in there. uh, so many of us are creatively stifled. So many. I mean, we don't necessarily name it that way all the time. We haven't, we're so stifled sometimes we don't even know it. But yeah, so many of us have this story about ourselves. I'm not creative, and or stories of like remembering times that we tried when we were kids to express ourselves creatively, and we're kind of like pushed down. Yeah, I think that most of us can relate to that, and even when we're not quite ready to admit it to ourselves. I didn't until I was like in my 30s, so.
Yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. So then, who do you feel will gain the most from listening to this conversation?
Yeah. Women who are at some kind of crossroads tend to connect with me the deepest and the most powerfully because it's when we're at that crossroads that we are starting to get ready to move forward to like, oh, break free from the shackles. Like I feel like that those are dramatic language, but when we let ourselves feel what it's like to not be expressing ourselves freely, if we actually can get in there and feel that it is shackles, it is chains, it is that dramatic, and it is that soul killing. So yeah, women who are at a crossroads of like divorce sometimes precipitates this empty nesting, career changes, just getting to be midlife and beyond and being like, oh, I wonder what's down the road here. Is it going to be the same old thing, same old? Yeah, that's when we're ready, and that's when we have the most opportunity to break free.
Most potential for magic. And
Yeah.
what do you hope people will take away?
Takeaway. the awareness that it's easier than you think. Uh, sometimes it's so funny. The principles on which I'm, resting a lot of my initial coaching with a client is like micro moments, tiny little steps, really tiny, like 30 seconds at a time, a few times a day as needed, if that's what's needed. And but how hard it is to get ourselves to just do those things, to do even a minute a day is insane, actually. And it's sort of evidence of the degree to which we are stifled, because we are thinking, oh well, 1 minute won't take long, but to get ourselves to do it. But so what I want people to take away the most is that once you do it, the opening that happens makes things so much easier. Once you just start that momentum going, it keeps going almost on its own. It's almost like you can't help it.
I
So,
love that you've brought in momentum because that's very much what I talk about as well. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about we don't even realize quite often how stifled we are because it is the norm, isn't it? It's just how it is. So we don't even
yeah,
sometimes question that. We don't even maybe know that we can question it or that there's anything to question. So we just keep on trundling along because our mothers and our older sisters and our aunts and all of the other people around us maybe have been doing the same thing. So in the patriarchal society, isn't that just how it is? And when you've grown up through that, that is your norm. So that is how it is. And anything else feels alien and might feel wrong to challenge it and to ask those questions. And when you've never asked or heard anybody else asking, you don't even know that's a thing. So there are so many things to all of that. And it is that hurdle of getting over that. It's if you have a heavy weight and the inertia of that heavy weight. But once you get it going and you find your groove and you find where it's smooth, then it's not a big push anymore, but it's getting over that initial. And then I love that idea of momentum. And for me, it's when you make it fun and when you turn it into play, it does just feed itself and its own momentum. I'm trying not to use the same word, but it's its own kind of
power.
energy to just power energy just to keep
Yeah.
going, and it feeds itself and it grows and it just gets more and more exciting all the way along. But it's recognizing that when we bring that fun in, when we make it joyful, it's not always easy, but there is ease to it and there is flow to it. So
Right.
going back
I
not to
love
your
that, by
very
the way. I
beginning.
just gotta, oh, sorry, we have a delay, but I loved it when you just said it's not always easy, but there is ease to it and flow to it. Thank you.
And it's finding that, giving ourselves permission again, not just to ask the questions and to make a start and all of these things, but to know that there is an ease and a flow when we find our groove, to give ourselves permission to find my groove, you to find your groove. Each of us has our own individual expression, joy, all of these things. And that is not only okay, it's positively wonderful because that is where the magic is. So, going back to kind of your beginning, you said that you were in your 30s when you kind of discovered all of this and began to grow and develop it and grow and develop your voice. So, can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to the point of finding your voice? What that experience of I've got a voice. I can use my voice. I can ask questions. What was that like? And the challenges you've already kind of hinted at the challenges within
Yeah.
that.
Yes, yes. Well, I'd say that, the challenges started in childhood, of course, with the usual kind of not being heard and being well, the first moment actually that I remember being stifled in my play was when I was in, I think, first grade, and I was in the lunchroom, kind of like enjoying my food. And the principal came by and told me to stop playing with my food. And I was like, why? He's like, because it's childish. And I was really logical already at the age of 6 or whatever. And I'm like, well, I am a child. So I sassed him back, but I really got tamped down. very, very shamed at that moment by him. And I don't know, I don't remember exactly what else went on, but I think there was other things around that related to other authority figures and stuff. So, um, uh, yeah, the that sort of energy carries through like through as a thread for many of us. And, being told that there was something wrong with my vibrato when I was singing in a choir, like that kind of stuff, just made me not feel like expressing myself creatively or playfully in the world by the time I was an adult. And when I was 33, I still sort of like, I was like a closet creative. And I wouldn't, so much that I wouldn't even tell it to myself. I wouldn't even admit to myself that once in a while I was writing a song, or that once in a while I was writing a poem, or even I did a drawing once, which is not even my thing, but I did it. Um, and when I was 33, just randomly told somebody who we had connected around music already. Is currently my partner, by the way. But at the time, we had just really just been getting to know each other, and told them that I had written a song, and I don't know why I did it. I'm not, like it was definitely not something I would talk about with people, but I guess I felt safe enough to do it. And I did, and they supported me from that moment on. They are a musician in just growing my voice, growing my whole voice. That's the name of my business, is Grow Your Whole Voice. So yeah, from that point, it was really, really quick, like within a year that I was like teaching voice and performance, within my little rural local community. I was like kind of just staying one step ahead of my students for a while. And, then I was in many, many bands, and I was doing music performance projects, which got into women's empowerment projects, as performance projects. And then when I was 50, I put out my first solo albums. That was a couple of years ago. And that opened up me wanting to really help people have their own creative awakening.
I don't know about you, but I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not creative," because
Yeah. Oh, it breaks
because
my
we,
heart.
we, we, we don't, yeah, we don't get the opportunity to explore our creativity, and
Mhm.
yeah, like being shut down, so we think we're not creative, or our form of creativity isn't appropriate, isn't acceptable. But I think we also maybe have a perception of creativity means I'm an artist. So
Yeah.
I draw, or I paint, or maybe I sing, because you see the famous people, we're quite into that kind of pop culture. So, yeah, singing is an art form. I don't do any of those.
Mhm.
It's not limited to that, because it can be any form of expression. You might be a creative cook, you might be a creative gardener, you might be a knitter, a crochet. Crochet seems to be taking off around here at the moment. But there are lots of different forms of expression. You might play with numbers. I play with Canva when I'm making PowerPoint presentations for my work, my talks. I love playing with that imagery. You might be a photographer, you might be taking those images that I'm using on Canva. All of those and many, many more are forms of creativity. You mentioned writing, but writing can be stories, writing can be books, it can be anything. You might just tell stories to your kids at bedtime. All of these and many, many more are forms of creativity. So if you're watching this and thinking, well, I've always been told I'm no good at art and I'm not creative, this perhaps is a little nudge to explore what creativity might look like, feel like, be like for you. And just to bring in that element of play and fun, because that's like being, I actually, you were saying being told not to be childish, or being told that you shouldn't do something because it was childish. I've just recently written a post for social media. Instead of that, stop being childish, blooming start being childish. Allow yourself as an adult to reconnect with that inner child that's still in there, wanting to have fun, wanting to play, because that is our creativity, it's our problem solving, it's our fun mode. It's so important to reconnect with it.
Yeah. It's our birthright too. That's one word that I use a lot. We are creative beings just by nature. Like we're literally creating our worlds with all the decisions we
Yes.
make in every tiny moment. And eh, my main core form of creativity right now is growing my business. So yeah, I as soon as I allowed one form, I guess, my one of my core forms, which was my music, uh others opened up. It's like I said before, it's almost like you can't stop it. And it's beautiful, it's joyful, it's what we need to have in the world to become resilient to all the challenges that we face. So
And it
to build that
feeds
joy and I
us.
call our baseline of joy. Go ahead.
Yeah, it feeds us, it nurtures us, it nourishes us. So, although we are expending energy in our creativity in that process, and you talk about power as well, so it not just uses power, it recharges our power and it helps us connect with other people, I think. And it's part of the whole vulnerability, part of our introspection, and therefore part of our growth, just bringing in the ethos of this podcast. So, moving on then, what would you say you learnt or gained from that experience of starting to express and grow your voice?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I learned, because it was uh, precipitated by getting some unconditional outside support. uh, I learned that we need each other. That's why I then started sharing it very quickly, sharing what I was learning myself, and sharing even more than that, sharing the power that I was gaining. I started to give it to other people very quickly after that, um, because yeah, we need each other to support each other to do this. I don't know if that's the natural original state of things for creativity, but and at least within the context of culture being stifling, we absolutely need extra help around it all. So that's the first thing that I learned. And there's the phrase, and I keep trying to find, and I can't find whether I got this from Julia Cameron, who did The Artist's Way. Um, there's a phrase that she uses, creative monsters, right? Which is one thing our culture is. It's a creative monster towards all of us, and plenty of us within our culture are creative monsters to each other and oppressing each other creatively. But on the opposite side of that, we can turn our culture into creative champions. We can become supports to each other. And just to call back a little of what you said a few minutes ago about we each have our own diverse and unique styles of what we are aligned with creatively and in our play. So yeah, I just wanted to say too, thanks for mentioning that each one of us has a unique preference landscape, and to follow that and to become in alignment with that is the most beautiful, powerful thing in the world that we can help each other do.
About creative monsters and that kind of horizontal oppression or
Mm.
oppressing down on people.
Yeah.
Just a thought as you were saying that, do you think that may, at least in part, and be worsened by the fact that we don't have that creative expression and that sense of freedom in our creative expression? So, that sense of what we don't love and nurture and nourish and instead push down and push away becomes our shadow. What that actually part of us
Right.
actually needs is the nurturing, the nourishing, the love, the encouragement to be expressed on its positive, uplifting, higher vibrational side rather than the counterpart of that.
Right. Yeah, it's either way, it's a feedback loop, right? Like if we are told from in one way or another not to do the thing that we want to do creatively, and we don't get to do that thing creatively, and then that causes its own problem that it just spirals downward, which is why, as I was saying earlier, it kind of is easy to once we start to spiral it the other way, it's easy to do because each way has its own energy, and it's like, and really at this point, at least by the time we're adults, right? And especially by the time we're, getting into midlife, and are a little more aware, I know, than I was when I was in my 20s, for example. We to know that we have that choice is is the most powerful thing in the world. Like that's really almost in some ways the only hurdle, the only true hurdle that we have. Because once we know we have that choice, and then get support to be able to continually make that choice, there's no stopping it. There's no stopping us.
And that's why I love and often come back to how we can reclaim our agency, because we always have it, but sometimes it is pushed down, covered over, all of those things. And I love the term stacking. So it quickly stacks and builds, or it stacks downwards because, like you say, that feedback loop
Right.
that just takes it further and further and further down, or so simply, I mean, so simply down, but equally simply going up. And if going up and that creative expression and so on is our natural, who we actually really are inside, then you think that's going to be super easy once we find our groove. We, like you say, no
Mhm.
stopping us. So,
Right.
what what do you hope that uh, from your story, people listening will be inspired, and what number one tip maybe would you give them? Do you give people who are on that cusp and thinking, I don't know that I have any creativity in me, or I do, but I don't know how to make a start. I've tried, it hasn't worked. What do I do?
Yeah. 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 Um, I mean, I hope that everybody will be inspired by just knowing that if I could do it, anybody can, kind of thing. I have trauma in my background, and I have, you know, various obstacles, which a lot of us do. I have more than some and less than others. And I have witnessed not just me, but many, many clients, and then many, many other people who who really just started off not believing it's possible, totally being proven, totally proven that it is. And in some ways, there is a faith that needs to be exercised in regards to this stuff. Just, I guess, with any kind of transformation and change. And so, the biggest tip that I have is to grab a coach like me who has faith, and borrow, and get in with them and borrow that faith, because until you actually are doing it all right, until you've taken the actions, you don't it is hard to have that faith. It is hard to feel it and to experience that faith for yourself. But if you have a good coach, the actions that you if you have enough faith to at least start the actions that the coach is suggesting, which usually aren't going to be like crazy, like invest all of your time and money in the world, right? Like it's usually it's doable. Then it's very quick that you start to see those, to see that you or to see enough evidence to develop your own faith. And yeah, faith in the end is like not evidence based, but there's experience, right? There is experience that we can gain that does at least point in the direction of like, okay, things are moving. I can see that, I can feel that. And I will say, like, one example or real life example of that is that this last summer, I started my play programming back in the spring, and I was doing it, frankly, mostly for myself because I had realized that I had been through last summer, the summer of 2024, starting my business and not really playing at all. And I'm like, I am not going to do that again. And so I started this play programming, and the clients that really sank their teeth into it over the course of what we called our summer of play. Um, have been just completely blown away by by how easy it was. It's the kind of thing that's subtle, right? You're doing 5 minutes or less a day, 3 times a day, uh, 5 minutes or less each time, 3 times a day of play, just like some kind of play. There's like a system that we've got. And and you don't think, and we're also trained to think that that's not that big a deal, right? But then we're looking back over last summer and like, holy cow, so many things changed. I had one client who was like in the move, it was moving over the summer, like in transition, a big, big transition. And they started the summer like, oh, I have to move, right? Like that was their language around it. At the end of the summer, they're like, I'm creating this amazing transition for myself. So, I mean, that's just one example. Like there's a lot of power that I've felt, and that again, the clients that really took it on to do this stuff. So yeah, my tip is, even if it doesn't seem consequential at first, um, if you're feeling some kind of sparkle about, okay, this, and usually, it could be this coach is for me or this system is for me or something like that. If you're feeling that sparkle, just go with it. You really don't have anything to lose. I have rarely heard of somebody actually regretting, building some joy in their life. I've never heard that. So why not? Why not go for it?
And it is that simplicity and those small tiny steps, like you were saying right back at the beginning of our conversation. It's not about those big things. And I sometimes talk about the fact that I think we think of our problems as big and scary and painful. Therefore, obviously, the solution is going to have to be big and scary and painful, because that's kind of the way that we approach the world, and that we're taught to think, you've got this maths problem or this science problem or whatever it is, and you have to throw all this energy at it and think it all through, and you need to exert as much on it as, and all of that kind of thing. But I think because we see our problems right up, we're right in that they are right in our face, because we just spend so much time focusing on them, not playing. So we think they're this huge big thing. But if we can just take that step back, bring in little bits of play and joy and fun and things that we like to do, then we stop looking at that big scary thing over there and we just go, hey, this is so much fun over here, and it's sparkly and it's lovely. Problems? What problems? Not quite, but we get so caught up in how joyful this can be, how much better my life feels when it's joyful and playful. And I did that. I was the one who made that choice. I was the one who stepped away, stepped back, and looked at something else, got a load of fun and joy out of it. Well, I'm going to carry on with that, aren't you? Because you're not going to want to go back to my face is right in the middle of my problem. I'm just going to, and I feel so much more creative. I have the problem solving that I lacked when I was in my fight or flight state. I can relax. I can have time with my friends and my family and feel that connection. So it's just win, 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 win.
Right. Yeah. And you just really highlighted something for me that I had not thought of before in this really clear way. Were mentioning that, the problems are big and scary, so therefore the solution, our default setting thinking is that the solutions must be big and scary. Well, both retain big and scary. There's no opposites there in that realm. So yeah, why wouldn't the solutions be the opposite of big and scary? Why wouldn't the solutions be joyful and expansive and freeing? I guess we're gonna have fear because we're humans of anything. And at the same time, when we're cultivating our joy, fear doesn't have nearly as much chance to take hold and sink its stuff in there into its claws, I guess. Yeah.
When you're in joy, you can't feel fear. They are mutually exclusive.
Right.
So when we're in fear, we
Right.
can't feel joy. But when we're able to make that shift, and like you said, when you've got a good coach, they will hold the space for you, they will hold the faith for you, they will guide you on the steps to take and how to take them. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You can hand all of that stuff over to them. You just give me some tips. I will do the tips. We will come back. We will review. We will make any changes. Next step. And before you know it, like you say, your cohort that came through the summer with you, they're going, oh my goodness. And I love that example that you gave about language, because I talk about that all the time. We say, I should, I have to, I must, I need to. What energy, talking about energy again and vibration, is that giving to our bodies? How does that feel in your body versus I get to, I have to move? No, I'm creating this brand new, exciting, wonderful, joyful, playful life. I'm doing that. I'm creating it, therefore it is mine. And because I've created it, if it doesn't turn out the way I thought it would, I can change it. I'm not forced into something which I may have felt all my growing up years. I had to be there. I was told to be there. I was squeezed into that hole that didn't feel like it was a good fit. Now it's different. So Jenny, just to round up, would you let people know where they can find you and how they can connect with you?
Yeah, well, speaking of joy, I have provided for free as a gift an audio meditation visualization, I guess is more what you would say, to retune your creative joy. And it's got some sound toning elements to boost the energy of it and boost your own energy. It's only 6 minutes long, and it's a little journey that you can take anytime to retune yourself and retune into your creative soul. So it's at joy.growyourwholevoice.com. I'm just saying it fast because Robin's going to put it in the description, I think, right?
I
So
am
yeah,
indeed.
and yeah. All right. So that's that. That is the most recent gift that I created. That's one thing I love about about this building my business, is that I get to create so many different kinds of things, from programs to to lead magnets and all that kind of stuff, all the businessy things. I'm really enjoying it. So that's why you're feeling or seeing the sparkle in me at this moment. I'm just so tickled by it all. Anyway, I'm just really happy. It's been getting some great response out there, and I'm excited about sharing it with all of you.
Oh, that is so generous. Thank you. I love the sound of it. I'm going to have to go and have a listen myself. I love sound and I love visualization, those guided visualizations, because I think they're so powerful. And in 6 minutes, you can fit that into at least once into your day, every day. So that sounds spot on. Thank you so much. And
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Robin.
much for your time today and all that you have shared. It's been wonderful having this chat with you.
You too.
So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do please put in some comments and some feedback below the video here. And if you have enjoyed, feel free to subscribe and to share it with your networks. I look forward to seeing you next time when we have another wonderful guest joining us on the podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth. I hope it's given you a moment to breathe, reflect, and perhaps even see your own story with a little more compassion. If you find this conversation meaningful, I'd love it if you'd share, subscribe, or leave a review. It helps others find their way here too. Until next time, take gentle care, and remember, the journey inwards is where the real growth begins.